Once upon a time, in a snow-covered wasteland, our hero was out there following a trail of fresh blood. He was freezing, grumbling the whole way, and starting to seriously question what was going on, and more importantly, why it felt like someone out there had put a target on his back. Out of nowhere, something brushed against his leg. Next thing he knew, he was face down in the snow, yelling in pain like he had just stepped on a Lego barefoot. He scrambled away, looking more panicked than a cat in a bathtub. Then came a voice. Casual and way too cheerful for the situation. "If you're gonna run, might as well give up now," it said. The leader of the group popped into view with a smirk and added, "Come on, Master Baekjun, you have to admit, this is kind of hilarious." Bro, lying in the snow and questioning every life decision that led to this moment, sighed. All of this madness? It started with a bet. One dumb bet. Now he felt like a main character trapped in some off-brand video game. Flashback to a much simpler time. My boy is chilling at home, glued to his screen. A user named Supreme Lord slid into the chat with a spicy question. "Want to place a bet? The deal?" Finish the game on their custom path, and boom, a wish granted. Baekjun had laughed it off, thinking it was just some random trolling. Besides, the game was finally done, and he was just wondering where all his gaming buddies had gone. The game Heroes Road was no joke. It had magical gates, monster-slaying hunters, and was set in a modern world where chaos was the norm. It blew up for a reason. Awesome power scaling, wild quests, secret loot, and 5 unique characters that made every run feel fresh. Even though it was single-player, it felt like a full-on saga. But here was the catch. It was hard. Not just rage-quit hard, but why am I doing this to myself hard? Most players never made it past the early stages. The 5 playable characters? They could get wiped out in seconds, and if they did, your only option was to start over from scratch. The game's clear rate? A depressing 0.1%. Only one guy seemed to crack the code, Han Chang-woo, and even then, he only pulled it off by teaming up with Baekjun. Back to the present, Baekjun stared at his monitor. He was the last person left in the group chat. A few minutes ago, it had been packed. Now, empty. He wondered if the others had just dipped to another server or if something weirder was going on. Then, bam, the Supreme Lord showed up, like he had just walked through the wrong door at a party. Han, totally caught off guard, blinked in confusion. Everyone else was gone, but the Supreme Lord was still here? The Supreme Lord threw out another offer, smooth as ever. Clear the game and you get a wish. Han chuckled, half amused, half suspicious. "And if I fail?" he asked. The Supreme Lord just smiled and said, "Well, guess you'll find out." That was when Han's gamer senses started tingling. Something felt off. The Supreme Lord asked again, "Are you absolutely sure you cleared the game?" Han nodded, but his finger paused over the enter key. He thought about how competitive the scene was. No way was he letting someone else steal his spotlight. Not when he was this close to victory. So, he casually mentioned, "Everyone gave me the green light, except Baekjun." The Supreme Lord let out a soft laugh, then shrugged. "I mean, what are the odds someone else actually pulled it off?" Then, with that same cheeky smile, he asked, "So, still want to go for it?" It all felt kinda weird, but my guy rolled with it. The Supreme Lord flashed that cheeky grin and called him the best player around. But the second our boy agreed, things got trippy. The world around him spun like a roller coaster gone rogue. Clutching his head as the dizziness hit full force, he could barely hear the Supreme Lord's voice say, "This isn't just a game anymore. This is your life now." And just like that, boom, faceplant right into the keyboard. When he finally opened his eyes, he was no longer in his room. Nope, my guy was flat out on a snowy field, freezing and confused. He pushed himself up, looked around like someone waking up in the wrong movie, and took it all in. First thing he noticed? His hair, way longer than it should be. Then he spotted a bunch of dudes nearby. That's when it clicked. They were calling him Baekjun. Our hero blinked. No way, he thought. Standing right in front of him was Shin Woo-hyun, one of the in-game characters. Either he was deep in some next-level dream, or something seriously insane just happened. Woo-hyun said they had training today, and Baekjun couldn't help but point out how scripted everything sounded. Woo-hyun just shrugged, saying today's training would be rough. Apparently, his older brother's version of mentorship was throwing him into the deep end, with bricks tied to his ankles. Then, without warning, Woo-hyun shot an arrow that barely missed my boy's shoulder. Dude casually said he was aiming for the heart. Didn't expect you to dodge, though. This guy really believed he had Sword Saint blood or whatever, but felt like a total failure in his clan. Said if he was going to train Baekjun, he'd at least give him a quick and painless goodbye. That's when my guy started connecting the dots. This wasn't a dream. This was real. And he couldn't afford to treat it like a game anymore. Blood dripped down his side. The pain was sharp. But then he remembered what the Supreme Lord said. This is your reality now. And just like that, it all came together. He is Baekjun now. No idea how it happened, but he knew one thing. He had to survive. He had played this game a dozen times. He knew how Baekjun's story started, and more importantly, he knew how quickly it could end. So out of nowhere, our boy bolted. Woo-hyun and the others just stood there, blinking. That wasn't part of the script. Woo-hyun tilted his head, low-key disappointed, but didn't chase him right away. Later, somewhere else in the snowy wilderness, Baekjun collapsed and shouted like he had reached his limit. Woo-hyun eventually caught up and, sticking to the script, gave his dramatic, end-of-the-line speech. Baekjun told him he just needed a little more time. Woo-hyun, cold as ever, said he wouldn't be lonely in the afterlife. He planned to send some company along, his loyal servants. Even poor Sungmin was on the hit list. He looked down and asked if Baekjun had any last words. Just then, one of the guys noticed the wind picking up. Snow was swirling fast, and something about the air felt off. And that's when my guy dropped it. His last words? "You can just go away, loser." Before anyone could react, a giant wolf came tearing out of the blizzard like it had beef with everyone present. Out of nowhere, the ice wolf suddenly collapsed. Not Woo-hyun. He glanced at the creature, brows furrowed, wondering what an ice wolf was even doing here. Then it hit him. Maybe it had shown up just because our boy had been yelling like a lunatic. But before he could overthink it, more noise broke out behind him. He turned and spotted his crew being ambushed by a whole pack of ice wolves. Woo-hyun was surprised that they were freaking out over a few oversized puppies, but then again, most of them were still rookies with zero field experience. So maybe panic made sense. Still, those wolves were starting to get on his nerves, and he knew he had to wrap this up quickly. First step, take care of my guy Baekjun. But when he looked back, bro was gone. Meanwhile, our hero was limping like a grandpa, clutching his thigh and wincing. He was pretty sure he messed up the herbal mix, because wow, the pain was not it. Just as he was mentally preparing for the worst, a status window popped up right in front of his face. Turns out, his patchy survival knowledge had triggered something new. He'd created an original ointment. And guess what? It could actually heal wounds and give him a temporary cold resistance buff. Bro stared at the screen like, no way. A gentle glow lit up around his leg, and my guy let out a breath of relief. Looked like the mix worked after all, even if it felt slightly cursed. After spending 2 whole years grinding through this route, he knew every twist by heart. No way he'd mess this up now. He tried to take a breather, just for a second, but ended up sighing again. He couldn't help thinking how tough life was for Baekjun. It wasn't just about surviving monsters or dodging arrows. This whole world came with way too much baggage. He started talking to himself about the Sword Saint clan, based on Seorak Mountain. The clan was founded by none other than the martial god, the legend who saved everyone during a major gate disaster back in the day. After the dude disappeared, his books kept the legacy going, turning the clan into one of Korea's top-tier groups. And now, lucky him that our boy Baekjun was one of the 5 kids in line for succession. He glanced down at his leg again. The herb paste was still holding up by keeping him from bleeding out and helping him stay warm, but the timer was ticking. He figured he had about 30 minutes tops before things went south. That meant he needed a solid plan. The hero's road system was still online. That status window was proof. But as he stared at it, frustration bubbled up. Starting off injured is definitely not a good idea, and with someone like Woo-hyun, one tiny slip could spell the game over. Thanks to those ice wolves showing up, our boy finally gets a little breathing room. But Woo-hyun's not the type to back off, and with that glowing artifact tracking his every move, it's only a matter of time before he's cornered. To make things worse, bro's skills are rusty, his gear's trash, and he's not exactly ready for a boss fight. So yeah, he needs a real escape plan. After weighing his options, he figures the Forest of Mazes is his best shot. High risk, high reward. On his way out, he spots the ice wolves down for the count, bodies scattered like leftover raid loot. A few students nearby are banged up pretty bad. Then Woo-hyun notices a bright flash on his chest, and one of the students points it out. It's the tracking artifact lighting up again. Without missing a beat, Woo-hyun swears he's catching Baekjun this time. It doesn't take long before they realize where the trail is leading, straight into the Forest of Mazes. Woo-hyun rallies the crew. He tells them plain and simple, if they want to impress Terang and get ahead in the clan, they'll have to take some risks. As they march forward, our hero narrates how monsters have basically become humanity's biggest headache, and hunters are the only ones keeping everything from falling apart. Gates open up randomly, each one different depending on the type of monsters inside. And then there's that one place everyone avoids, like it's cursed. Baekjun, crouched behind a tree, watches a massive serpent slither by. This isn't just some high-level zone. This is Seorak Mountain, a living hell where monsters run the whole show, building their own twisted ecosystem and giving even pro hunters a run for their money. Meanwhile, Woo Hyun's group is trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Why would someone like Baekjun head into Seorak alone? They have no clue he's been dragged into this mess thanks to Woo Hyun's secret plan. While the other clan brothers are away, Woo Hyun thought it'd be a fun little test. When players first jump into the game as our guy, the main mission is simple: survive the snowstorm and make it back to the clan alive. But my guy? He took a detour. Turns out, he's on a side quest to uncover a hidden secret buried somewhere deep in the mountain. Right in the middle of the forest of mazes sits a creepy old tombstone. Only those brave enough to risk it all and look beyond the obvious will make it out alive. As Woo Hyun and his crew approach, their curiosity starts kicking in. One of them pauses, wondering if the danger's worth it. A lot of people have died here, after all. Woo Hyun nods, totally gets it, but insists they need to check out the corpse to find real answers. With the tracking artifact in hand, they feel like they can handle it, but something feels weird. Woo Hyun keeps glancing around, unsettled. As they stare at the tombstone, Woo Hyun spots our boy moving ahead. The footprints are fresh, so he knows Baek hasn't gotten far. Since he's injured, Woo Hyun tells the group to hurry and bring him back safely. Deep in the woods, Woo Hyun raises a hand to pause. He lays out the next move and they continue. One woman hesitates and says it feels like they're going in circles. Woo Hyun lifts a brow and tells her to look down. She realizes she's standing on a corpse. He gently reminds her they're in the forest of Labyrinth, where it's easy to get lost if you're not alert. Meanwhile, my guy leans against a tree, completely drained. The herbs are keeping him going, but death feels way too close. He shakes his head, blaming the Supreme Lord for throwing him into this mess without a proper warning, even if he kinda asked for it. He knows he may have exaggerated about fully clearing the game. Now, low on energy, he pushes through the fog until he spots something and shouts, he's found it, the end of the labyrinth. At the cliff, memories rush in. He remembers arriving here, lost and ready to give up. Back then, it felt like a dead end. Now, it feels like growth. All he has to do is stay focused. He turns around and calls out for some help. Right then, Woo Hyun shows up and yells his name. Surprised, Woo Hyun stares, not expecting Baek to make it this far. Baek smirks and says Woo Hyun's not even speaking to him formally anymore. Woo Hyun teases back, pointing out that all that running just led him to a cliff. Baek then asks if Woo Hyun really plans to follow Taerang. Woo Hyun says he's starting to understand why and feels it fits the Sword Saint clan's path. Baekjun had a hunch and just wanted to see how Woo Hyun would react. Now that it's confirmed, he's sure this world really is like the game he knows. Time's slipping away, and he knows he can't afford to stall anymore. Especially not in a situation this bad. He drops to his knees as blood drips from his arm into the snow. The cold is creeping in fast, but frostbite is the least of his problems right now. Woo Hyun tells him he's wasted enough time talking. Ending things quickly might be the kinder option. Baekjun pushes himself back up and says that if this really is the end, he's got a useful heads up. The artifact thereafter is a one-time deal. Once it's used, that's it. Without hesitation, Woo Hyun swings his blade and sends a blast of energy his way. Baekjun jumps off the cliff just in time, but not without taking a nasty slash to his side. As he falls, a scream rips out of him. Woo Hyun watches him disappear into the fog below. All that's left is a blood-stained patch where Baek stood. One of the others says Baekjun might not have survived. Woo Hyun agrees and says there's no way to recover the body now. He tells them to head back, but quietly worries that Taerang might not believe what happened. He checks the artifact, but it doesn't respond, which only makes things worse. The group stands around waiting for direction. Suddenly they freeze as a horde of monsters appears. One growls that they can smell blood. Woo Hyun realizes they're in real danger as a group of orcs charges at them. Meanwhile, our boy is still falling until a portal appears beneath him and swallows him whole. Flashes of lightning burst around him before he crashes into a cave. Coughing up blood, he struggles to crawl forward. Then he spots it, a golden book floating in the air, a tiny glimmer of hope in the middle of all the chaos. Baekjun reaches for the book. his arm trembling as his vision fades. He stumbles and falls but refuses to let go. The system scans him and tags him as talentless. Just when it seems over, a golden light wraps around him and lifts him up. The system kicks in and reveals the truth. He carries the hidden blood of the martial god. His eyes light up with power. Lightning crackles around him, and a bright flash bursts out. The book responds to its unknown heir and shares a message. The martial god recorded countless techniques, and the book will keep updating, waiting to be used for something greater. Grinning wide, Baekjun feels ready to turn things around. He's back at full strength with the martial god's book and the heavenly martial physique. His body powers up, stats skyrocket, and he unlocks a wild X-rank ability along with an S-rank trait. Staring at the book, he feels more than satisfied. His rank's rising fast, but what really hypes him up is the unique ability and trait he just gained. In Hero's Road, there are no levels to farm. You grow by upgrading traits, mastering skills, and surviving brutal trials. The Tairang route is one of the toughest, which is exactly why he came here. The first thing my guy checks is the heavenly martial physique. It boosts his stat growth and helps him master skills faster. Sometimes it even unlocks secret techniques out of nowhere. This trait, total game changer. Then there's the Martial Gods book. It lets him learn any combat move, not just martial arts, but sword play, staff techniques, you name it. Sadly, no magic lessons here, but hey, he'll cross that bridge when he gets to it. He pops open his status screen and sees some points ready to spend and a fresh new quest sitting there. He scrolls through the available techniques, but decides to chill on those for now. No urgent battles coming up, so flashy sword moves aren't the priority. But then, bam! He spots a mobility skill that makes him feel lighter and quicker. Whether he's running from a boss or dipping from awkward conversations, this one's gonna come in clutch. The more he syncs with the Martial Gods book, the wilder his moves will get. Now comes the real moment, choosing a quest. First option, catch me if you can. Second, I'm sorry, ancestor, please help me be a righteous bandit, just for today. Yeah, that second one sounds ridiculous, so of course he picks it. He steps through a hidden door in the cave and boom, it opens up to a full-on maze. If he makes it out, early tomb rewards are his. Feeling lucky, our boy dives in, wondering if Wu Yun managed to crawl out of this death trap too. Meanwhile, outside the calm ends real quick. Someone just got bodied. Wu Yun, chilling in a tree thinking he's clever, suddenly hears something slither, turns to the left, and surprise, it's that massive serpent from earlier, trying to make him into lunch. Back inside, Beck's in a good mood, thinking Wu Hyun probably escaped by now, though getting out of the forest of mazes is basically a puzzle from hell. He checks his herb collection. Yep, looking stacked. All that's left now is opening the chest and wrapping things up. He pops it open and jackpot, 1,000-year snow, ginseng and the treasure keeper's pouch. Quest cleared. He scores 500 points and earns something called Black Demon. At the same time, the tomb's like peace out and starts collapsing now that its job is done. Good news, it's teleporting him back to the surface. Right before he's warped out, he spots something behind the chest and breaks into a grin. A hidden tomb under a cliff? Total martial god energy. The Black Demon gear is no joke. It buffs defense and even heals him up. As he vanishes, we cut to the main gate of the Sword Saint clan, now covered in snow. One guy is fully locked into his phone, while someone nearby is yelling that his ramyun's ready. He's too deep in game and ends up getting knocked out after misreading a boss pattern. Then, Baekjun casually appears at the window, all mysterious. The guy flinches and yells, "Is it a monster?" Then realizes, oh, it's just Baekjun. Baekjun stares him down with a grin and says, "Go get Seungmin." The guy freezes. Baekjun adds, "I'm not saying it twice. Move it." A little while later, Baekjun races through the fluffy snow, clutching his arm and feeling like something is chasing him. When he turns around, all we hear is a scream followed by a splash of blood. Yikes. Talk about waking up on the wrong side of the snowfield. Fast forward to the present, where a kid wonders if Baekjun will wake up since he's been out cold for 4 days. The clan doctor, Ju Jungwon, reassures Seungmin that it's not exactly an injury. Although he's not completely sure what's happening, he notes that Baekjun actually seems healthier than before, like he just came back from a spa in the afterlife. Seungmin, however, isn't convinced and points out that Baekjun looks pretty rough. Jungwon suggests he might just be having a really intense nightmare. You know, the kind where your alarm clock is a dragon. Suddenly, Baekjun's eyes flutter open and he starts breathing heavily. Seungmin and Jungwon are visibly relieved that he's awake, but Baekjun looks bewildered, asking if this is a dream within a dream. Great, someone's been binge-watching too much Inception. Sungmin, just as confused, watches as Baekjun scans the room and declares that there's no way this can be real. He rushes to the window and throws it open. Below, he sees a group of trainees practicing and chatting about heading off to the Western region's gates. Baekjun stares outside, trying to wrap his head around where he is. Jungwon steps in to clarify that he's in the Sword Saint Clan, his home. Or, as Baekjun probably sees it now, the deluxe version of a family feud. Realizing this isn't just a dream, Baekjun looks a bit downhearted. Jungwon, noticing his demeanor, asks if he's hurt. Baekjun simply mentions having a slight headache. Yeah, must be the side effect of waking up in a live-action soap opera. Jungwon offers to fetch him some medicine and food. Before Jungwon leaves, Baekjun tells him to wait a moment and asks if he needs anything. He's curious about the date, and Seungmin replies that it's the 15th since. He's been out for 4 days. When Baekjun asks for the year, Seungmin lets him know it's January 2035. You could practically see the loading screen behind Baekjun's eyes. As Seungmin heads off to get food, a status window pops up. Baekjun gazes at it and mutters to himself, acknowledging that there's no way this is just a dream. The window confirms he completed a quest and earned 100 points. He sighs, relieved to know he's back, home safe and sound, and that the game didn't glitch him into a potato. Later, Baekjun sits at a table and contemplates what to do next. Even though he's home, this place can be just as tricky as the one he just left. The Sword Saint Clan's annex is a battleground for power. Think less family gathering and more Game of Thrones Sword Edition. Taerang, the oldest son, is not keen on his presence. Then there's Jonghyun, the oldest daughter, Kangho, the third son, Min, the fourth daughter, and Baekjun, the youngest. Their 3 other siblings used to be around, but were taken out by Taerang. Yep, classic sibling bonding with a touch of elimination round. Everyone else knows the score. Kangho is sharp and has teamed up with Taerang, while Yin is pretty much over the clan head business, and Min doesn't care about it at all. Taerang got rid of the younger 3 to eliminate any future competition. He wants total control and isn't leaving anything up to chance. Basically, he's playing Monopoly, but with actual casualties. While enjoying a meal, Baekjun remarks how incredible the food is. Probably the first thing he's enjoyed that didn't involve a battle or existential crisis. So, to sum it up, Taerang is the main antagonistic force here. And since today is January 15th, 2035, it lines up perfectly with the game timeline. Their dad, Mohak, is set to pass on the clan head position to Taerang in 2 years, which gives Baekjun just enough time for a dramatic training montage. Baekjun knows he needs to act quickly, or he might find himself in a tough spot. Sitting up, he thinks about how he has 2 years at most to make a change. Once Taerang takes the reins, his power will skyrocket. Our guy is grateful to Seungmin for the meal, while Seungmin heads off to tackle the dishes. True hero behavior right there. With Taerang busy managing a gate in the Seorak Mountains for the next couple of months, Baekjun feels this is the perfect opportunity to strengthen himself before Taerang returns. In the Sword Saint Clan, everything revolves around strength, and if he can power up, the clan will have no choice but to acknowledge his abilities. Either that, or risk getting their robes handed to them. Fortunately, the clan is filled with incredible teachers. Standing outside the medicine room, he can't help but smile, thinking about how he needs to level up first. He opens the door and finds Jungwon diligently grinding herbs, like a medieval barista brewing his special wake-up juice. "Hey, Jungwon!" Baekjun calls out, grinning. He apologizes for barging in, but jumps straight into what's on his mind. He lets Jungwon know that he couldn't find him downstairs and asks if it's okay to explore around a bit, because nothing says recovery like a casual side quest. Jungwon playfully asks Baekjun if he's been keeping tabs on him, and Baekjun chuckles, saying he's just curious about how he's been. Definitely not stalking, just mildly invested. Jungwon looks a bit confused, so Baekjun quickly explains what makes Jungwon so interesting. He used to be the doctor for the old clan leader, and has these incredible healing abilities along with a natural talent for medicine. Basically, the guy's a walking pharmacy wrapped in a bathrobe. Jungwon tends to avoid clan politics and instead immerses himself in herbal remedies, which keeps him a bit scattered, like a wizard with ADHD. It's not that he doesn't want to get organized. He genuinely wants to share his knowledge with the clan. But it seems like no one really cares about learning. They prefer to buy medicine instead. Because why learn alchemy when you can just toss coins at the problem? Baekjun sees the value in Jungwon's skills because those special elixirs could really help him get stronger. Who needs protein shakes when you've got magic soup? As they're mixing up a new batch of medicine, Jungwon mentions that it's taking longer than expected and apologizes, admitting he's a bit slower these days because of his age. Baekjun assures him it's perfectly fine. After all, good herbs take time, not haste. Jungwon then asks if Baekjun is into pharmaceuticals, but adds with a grin not to get his hopes up, saying he may look young, but he's got a few years behind him. Baekjun's face lights up at the question, and he enthusiastically shares that he's really into it, which catches Jungwon off guard a little. He mentions that he's been studying on his own and has recognized the scents from peace herb and dream flower, which are great for headaches and relaxation. Basically, Baekjun is one stress ball away from being a holistic therapist. Baekjun then playfully suggests that if Jungwon shows him what he knows, becoming his disciple would be a piece of cake. Jungwon raises an eyebrow and asks if he figured all that out just by smelling things. Baekjun grins and says yes. He explains that he felt he couldn't just stick to books, so he started foraging and tasting herbs to get a real sense of their scents. He might have poisoned himself a few times, but hey, commitment. Next, he points out another smell, the toxic scream herb. Jungwon gives a nod, confirming it's right, and adding that he included it on purpose. Baekjun explains that burning it gets rid of the poison and boosts vitality, which impresses Jungwon. He notes that it's a shame Baekjun's talent lies in healing rather than martial arts, especially since he comes from the Sword Saint clan, where punching things is basically the family tradition. Baekjun then asks if Jungwon has heard about how he got hurt, and Jungwon mentions he heard Baekjun was attacked by monsters while out on his own. Baekjun admits he has no idea about Woo Hyun's assassination attempt. He explains how that incident made him realize just how vital medicine can be when life is at stake. He wishes he could have learned it properly and admits he still has a lot to study. He's still somewhere between herbal enthusiast and walking liability. Jungwon, seeing Baekjun's determination, offers to teach him if he's really serious about it. Baekjun looks surprised and points out that Jungwon is always busy, but Jungwon smiles and insists he'll find the time for him. Clearly, saving lives can wait for this unexpected mentorship arc. Baekjun asks Jungwon if he really means it, and Jungwon replies with a hearty, "Of course." He knows he can't teach Baekjun everything at once, so he wants to start by seeing what Baekjun already knows. Baekjun feels genuinely honored, but Jungwon insists that the honor is all his. They dive into a lively chat like there's no tomorrow, and thankfully it skips over the tiny details. No one wants to hear about root-soaking temperatures. A quest pops up, telling Baekjun to become Jungwon's disciple and prove himself. All he has to do is pass Jungwon's test. A few visits should be plenty to learn the art of Oriental medicine formulation, since he's tackled things like this many times before. Just your average fantasy intern training montage. Jungwon is a reliable guy, way more trustworthy than Woo Hyun, and that goes for Seungmin too. Seungmin even helped treat his family's sickness with Baekjun's support, and he's really grateful for it. Although he's not a martial expert and is nearing the end of his service, Seungmin would never betray him. He might not be able to throw punches, but he's solid where it counts. Satisfied, Baekjun checks the quest details, which are urging him to leave behind his anchovyism. It turns out he's not just a little skinny, he's super skinny. To earn himself 50 points and a stat boost, he's got to run for 5 hours. That's right, cardio just got gamified. Baekjun lets out a sigh, already sensing a tough path ahead. A bit later, Seungmin looks surprised when Baekjun announces his plans to exercise, calling him a wet noodle. Baekjun replies that he's just heading out for a bit and tells Seungmin to relax. Seungmin is curious about the sudden urge to work out, and Baekjun admits that he's wondering the same thing. Existential crisis meets treadmill. This brings back a memory of someone yelling at him, calling him weak and incompetent. Baekjun explains that in the Sword Saint clan, it's all about survival of the fittest, just like in nature. Power matters, and even family isn't exempt. Though he's nice, his lack of martial skills makes others view him as worthless, like a sharp pencil in a sword fight. At the training ground, other trainees tease him, calling him a bookworm, which is hard to believe. While enduring their jabs, he thinks that if he were the patriarch, he'd probably kick himself out too. He reflects on how nice life could have been with his books, but that's not an option in the Sword Saint clan. Here, Kindness gets you a seat at the kids' table. Taking a deep breath, Baek-jun starts running, initially thinking it wouldn't be too hard, but quickly realizes he might have been too optimistic. He feels like he's about to collapse and wonders if this is what a human body really feels like. The quest lets him know he's taken the first steps to shake off his anchovy curse. It tells him he's still scrawny, but now he's gaining some extra strength and scoring 50 points as a reward. He thinks more challenges will be waiting for him. Dropping to his knees, Baek-jun feels relieved that it's finally over. He thought it would be impossible, but the results from all that running turned out better than he expected. As he stretches, he tells himself that things are about to change. Getting into a bit of a quirky stance, he's not quite sure about his next move, but he knows the technique well. Using the Qinggong mobility skill he picked up in the cave, he takes off. He first felt it after returning from the martial god's grave, and the best part is, he can use it anytime he wants. His heavenly martial physique really is something else, even if the rest of him still looks like a stick figure. Kango was known as the fun-loving troublemaker of their group. He spent money like it had an expiration date, enjoyed dating like it was a side quest, and always managed to stir up drama wherever he went. Basically, a walking tabloid headline. Rolling his eyes, Kango commented that all of this fitness stuff seemed pretty pointless, but he couldn't resist offering to help Baek-jun out. As he walked past, he playfully kneed Baek-jun in the face and looked back with a grin, saying he could lend a hand again just like old times. Then he dashed off with his friends like a chaotic breeze that just smacked you in the nose. Baek-jun felt a rush of determination, vowing that Kango would be the first person he took down. But for now, he had to keep his eyes on the prize. A new quest had popped up. 3 hours of strength training with rewards just like before. Time to get moving. Later, he sat down to check out the system's skill book to see what he could learn. Strike was priced at 100 points, while Tri-Fist and Tri-Mind were only 50 points each. With 500 points from the grave and another 100 from today's quest, he realized he'd have just enough the next day for the skill he really wanted. The skill was called Attribute Manifestation, an impressive A-rank ability from Hunter Yoonjun Won. Despite its A-rank status, it only cost 500 points because it consumed a lot of mana and was tricky to master, like learning to drive a rocket using chopsticks. It was a testament to the amazing 1,000-year snow ginseng. Comparatively, the tri-techniques didn't hold a candle to it, and strike was pretty average, but Baek-jun still intended to learn it for an upcoming event. In a fun montage, we see Baek-jun training hard and impressing Jun-won with his knowledge about herbs. He shared that tilting grass can be dangerous if eaten raw, but can actually give a boost of energy when prepared correctly. Jun-won looked genuinely impressed. Baek-jun might just be the Gordon Ramsay of herbal medicine. Baek-jun noticed he had Jun-won's attention. After asking about a quest for 4 days straight and passing the medicine test, he finally unlocked the Oriental Medicine Formulation skill. He couldn't help but smile at the sweet notification while Jun-won praised him for being an outstanding pharmacist, even better than most of the current ones, who probably Googled half their knowledge. Baek-jun noticed that Jun-won never reacted to the status window, which made him realize it was something only he could see, kind of like a cheat code hidden in real life. Still, he gave credit to Jun-won's teachings and asked for help in making a certain medicine. Jun-won chuckled, curious about Baek-jun's request. He was taken aback when Baek-jun showed him the 1,000-year snow ginseng, the sun herb, the fire spirit's herb, and fire ginseng. Jun-won asked if these were the ingredients that attracted the monsters. Baek-jun sheepishly admitted it was true, apologizing for not mentioning it sooner. Since he wasn't completely lying, it felt like an honest enough confession. Jun-won nodded, saying he would have probably done the same if he found the 1,000-year snow ginseng. The energy radiating from it proved its authenticity. This was the kind of herb legends wrote love letters to. Curious about Baek-jun's intentions, he asked what he planned to do with it. Baek-jun explained he was trying to create a pill filled with yang energy that would help contain the ginseng's own power. Jun-won has a hunch that Baek-jun is planning to eat the ginseng, and Baek-jun happily confirms it. Realizing that all their hard training over the past few days has led to this moment, Jun-won feels impressed and eagerly agrees to help whip up the pill. Because, hey, what's friendship if not enabling each other's insane ideas? They team up and use their formulation skills to supercharge the effect. By nighttime, they've crafted the extreme yang pill, which glows brilliantly next to the ginseng, like a tiny sun in a bowl. Baekjun can hardly believe he's using herbs from the legendary martial god's grave in such a unique way. Jungwon reassures him that he'll keep a lookout and call for help if anything comes up, in case Baekjun explodes or something. Baekjun nods, admits he's feeling a bit nervous, and then bravely swallows the pill. Suddenly, a fiery energy surges through him, and he finds himself hovering mid-air, leaving Jungwon utterly amazed. Partly because his patient just turned into a human torch, Baekjun's face starts to show a bit of strain, and he remarks how hot it is, like sauna inside a volcano hot. Although it feels pretty intense, he knows he has to push through. He just needs a little more time for all this energy to flow through him. With determination, he opens his eyes wide, grabs the ginseng, and thinks, "Let's do this." As he takes a bite, he breaks into a cold sweat, feeling its effects hit him deep inside, like chewing on raw lightning. He mentions that the yin energy is freezing every meridian in his body, but he reminds himself to stay calm while channeling his energy. Easier said than done when your insides feel like a popsicle. Jungwon starts to feel a bit anxious as he watches Baekjun floating in the air, surrounded by a fiery blue aura. Thinking this isn't good, like, I might lose my medical license kind of not good, he decides it's best to call for help. But then Baekjun surprises him by putting his hands on his knees, and Jungwon is amazed to see him using a unique cultivation technique. He quickly realizes this isn't anything from their clan, it's the tri-mind technique. Even though Baekjun calls it sad and pathetic, he admits that it helps him learn how to use mana. It's not flashy, but hey, it gets the job done. As everything calms down, there's no denying that Baekjun is really getting the hang of it. Jungwon can't believe his eyes. Baekjun is actually circulating energy. It's already incredible that he managed to absorb the 1,000-year snow ginseng. But now he's also using a cultivation technique. Later that night, as they walk off together, Jungwon can't help but ask how Baekjun trained in that cultivation technique. Baekjun sheepishly admits he just copied someone he had seen before. He feels a little guilty about not being completely honest, but hopes it will smooth things over. Deep down, he thinks Jungwon might be giving him a bit too much credit. He finds a spot that seems just right and checks his status window to see how his skills and stats are doing. After his last training session, he's thrilled to see his magic power rank has jumped up to B. He's really excited about that, and notices the boost from the elixirs he's taken. Clenching his fist, he feels like it's finally his chance to shine. As energy flows around him, he activates attribute manifestation. Songha is one of the popular characters from Hero's Road, and her special ability, Dragon's Heart, allows her to produce an incredible amount of mana. When Baekjun lands, it's with a bang. He creates a small crater, and ice crystals spread out in all directions. It feels powerful, and given it's an A-rank skill, that makes sense. But it does come with a hefty cost. He's already feeling drained because it uses up his mana quickly. Makes sense, since the skill was designed to handle Songha's massive mana pool. He's only able to pull it off thanks to some ginseng. Otherwise, he wouldn't even consider trying. Without that herb, he'd be flat on the floor by now. He thinks about how Songha should have made it to the States by now, and he's really looking forward to meeting her someday, but for now, he needs to focus on the big event coming up. Later, Seung-min brings him breakfast and mentions that Baekjun has been getting up super early lately. Baekjun asks if there are any plans for the clan, and Seung-min replies that it's Sunday, which means training. They were invited to join, but Baekjun had decided to sit it out after things didn't go so well last time. However, this time, Baekjun surprises Seung-min by saying he's in. Seung-min raises an eyebrow, a little shocked since Baekjun usually avoids these things like the plague, but Baekjun insists that it's his duty as a clan member. Seung-min nods but reminds him that he promised not to participate again after ticking off the clan master. Baekjun cuts him off gently, telling him to go and let them know he'll be there. He's already prepared for the lecture. A little later, Seung-min hesitantly follows Baekjun, feeling a bit nervous. A clan member spots them and wonders why Baekjun showed up this time, sensing there might be more behind it. Every Sunday, the trainees go through group training while the instructors and members of the Sword Saint clan family watch. It's kind of like reality TV, just with swords and zero commercials. Baekjun grumbles that it's an odd tradition. As he climbs the stairs, he notices someone among the observers that he's really keen to see. Of course, it's Muhak, his dear old dad, who seems to be staring him down like he's already written a list of complaints. Nothing like a good old-fashioned father-son death glare to start the morning. Baekjun could feel the pressure from Muhak and sensed the presence of the combat instructors right behind him. After the recent monster attack, Jonghyun had checked in on him, and he gave her a reassuring nod, quietly grateful to Jungwon for patching him up like a human jigsaw puzzle. Kang-ho jumped in playfully, calling Baekjun a weakling and teasing him about how someone from the mighty Sword Saint clan almost got taken out by monsters. Baekjun rolled his eyes, doing his best to stay calm and not launch a flying herb at him. He noticed Yu Min beside him, but she wasn't looking his way, which made him a bit confused, or maybe she was just pretending not to know him. Kang-ho kept going, poking fun at Baekjun for spending so much time in the medicine room. He joked that it suited him since he had little sword experience and seemed to prefer hugging books instead of blades. Baekjun felt a surge of frustration, but took a deep breath, deciding it was time to finally clap back. Kang-ho, thinking Baekjun was just brooding again, dared him to stick around after training to see what real sword fighting looked like. To everyone's surprise, Baekjun snapped back, telling Kang-ho to be quiet. The instructors raised their eyebrows, and even Min lifted her head in mild curiosity. Kang-ho couldn't believe his ears. Then Baekjun, straight-faced, joked that he could smell Kang-ho's breath from halfway across the courtyard and wondered if he'd ever brushed his teeth, especially with all the smoking. Seriously, he added, I thought a goblin had wandered in. Kang-ho asked again, clearly annoyed, but Baekjun just shrugged it off like friendly advice. He added that if Kang-ho had time to chase girls, maybe he should spare a minute for dental hygiene too. I honestly feel bad for anyone who has to get that close, he said, walking away like a true mic drop moment. Yun chuckled under his breath while Kang-ho stood there fuming, shouting that Baekjun was seriously asking for trouble. Then, in a sudden twist, Baekjun dropped to one knee, catching Kang-ho completely off guard. Everyone froze. He looked up at his dad, Muhak, and declared he wanted to learn martial arts. While everyone else practiced in the courtyard, Jonghyun tilted her head, curious about the scene unfolding, and the instructors exchanged puzzled looks like they were watching a soap opera unfold in real time. Muhak looked down at Baekjun and wondered why he was even there, stating flatly that it wasn't a place for someone who lacked talent or the drive to even try. Baekjun insisted that he had recently decided to pursue martial arts. Muhak reminded him how he used to shy away from learning deadly techniques like they were haunted. Baekjun admitted that he once thought that way, but after his recent near-death experience, he realized he'd rather fight to survive than just be the clan's designated nerd. Muhak narrowed his eyes and asked what he truly wanted. Baekjun replied that he wanted to train with one of the 4 master instructors. That earned a full round of exchanged glances from the instructors, mostly the "is this kid serious" kind. Kang-ho laughed out loud and joked that even a stray dog would be amused. Muhak agreed, saying Baekjun had no talent and that it would probably be a massive waste of time. But then Baekjun grinned and asked, what if I actually did have talent? Muhak stared at him, that same skeptical look barely hiding a flicker of curiosity. Baekjun flashed a big grin, already imagining his dad's face when he proved him wrong. He was practically buzzing with excitement. When Muhak asked how he planned to go about it, Baekjun stood up and proudly declared he was going to take on Kang-ho. Kang-ho looked at him like he'd just announced he was going to wrestle a dragon blindfolded. You serious? He scoffed. You don't even know how to hold a sword right. Baekjun turned to Muhak, who surprisingly gave an encouraging nod. Fine, he said. Just remember, this is your last chance. If you lose, you're out of the clan. Baekjun smiled like he'd been waiting for that exact line. Of course, he replied coolly. Later, in the training yard, Baekjun eyed a wooden log and whispered to himself that he only had 1 week to get it together. If he could beat Kang-ho, he'd finally earn a chance at that golden ticket, master training. He activated a mana scarecrow, which lit up and began to move and fight using his own mana. It bobbed awkwardly at first, but Baekjun grinned anyway. All right, Kang-ho, he said under his breath, fists clenched and spirit fired up. You're about to get surprised real hard. A bunch of trainees chuckled as they remembered Baekjun bolting mid-training during one of Kang-ho's sessions. Now they're placing bets on how long he'll last this time. Meanwhile, Baekjun was all focus, practicing the basic tri-fist technique like it was a secret art. With one good hit, he launched the dummy sky high and followed it up with a mana-infused strike that shattered it. Not bad for a guy known more for books than brawls. From afar, Seong watched him with a puzzled look. "He's just been running and punching for 3 days straight," she muttered. "So why does he look this strong?" His technique was simple, almost too simple but consistent. And the choice to stick with fists? Odd. Instructor Kunmo noticed her expression and asked if she was having second thoughts about something. She brushed it off, told him to mind his own training, and refocused on Baekjun. Later that night, Baekjun collapsed beside broken scarecrows. "Not bad for today," he mumbled. He thanked the ginseng for keeping him functional and not asleep like a tranquilized panda. Out of nowhere, Seong popped up, startling him. She checked on him, and Baekjun launched into an impromptu lesson about clan hierarchy, patriarchs at the top, masters in the middle, and trainees like him desperately trying not to get stomped. He figured Seong was curious why he bothered fighting at all. She denied it, but Baekjun knew better. She then asked about his tri-fist technique. Baekjun grinned. While most Sword Saint members worshipped swords, Seong seemed open to broader ideas, like magic. He told her he didn't want to follow crusty old rules. The martial god used fists, swords, even bows. Why not mix it up? Seong blinked, surprised by his honesty. Then, to his shock, she offered to help train him. Baekjun lit up. "You sure? People might start whispering." She shrugged. "They already think I'm weird. May as well go all in." Unlike others who dodged him with fake smiles, Seong didn't care what anyone thought. And with her skills in mana and potential as a magic swordsman, she was the perfect teacher. She clapped her hands and told him to sit still. Baekjun hesitated. "It's kinda late. Maybe tomorrow?" She smirked. "Didn't you challenge Kangho? What happened to all that big talk?" He laughed nervously, but deep down, he knew she was right. The next morning, Baekjun and Song are chilling outside for a bit of post-training peace. Last night, Song had taken a deep dive into the tricky, heaven-surging mind technique and came back with her own upgraded version. As she channeled her mana into Baekjun, her eyes widened. His Dan Tien was huge. No wonder he could keep Qinggong going like a machine. Honestly, the guy had a body built like it was forged by the heavens themselves. She could practically feel the potential buzzing off him. When Baekjun noticed what she was doing, he decided to give it a shot himself, and Song was more than happy to help. Still, she knew it wouldn't be a walk in the park. The technique needed more than raw energy. It demanded finesse, something Baekjun was still figuring out. But she reminded herself not to judge based on size alone. Big Dantian or not, control was what mattered. That said, she was still surprised. This kid was picking up stuff like it was nothing. In the past, she'd roll her eyes at instructors drooling over talent without skill, but Baekjun felt different. His growth was the kind you didn't see often. When he asked how he was doing, she grinned and told him, "Perfect." He nailed it on the first go, which honestly might have made him the biggest dark horse in the whole clan. She thought back to what he said earlier about the martial god, how he got wrecked every way possible but never missed a chance to get stronger. She hadn't planned on mentoring anyone, but Baekjun, he had something. Back in his room, Baekjun was feeling pretty smug about scoring free skills. He started plotting how to really impress Song. Just chit-chatting about swords wouldn't cut it. He had to show her she was a boss with more to offer. If he could earn her full attention, he might unlock 2 amazing techniques. One being the heaven-surging mind technique, which boosted both mana and body. Winning her over wouldn't be easy. Without skills, she'd be out faster than you could say spar. But with his progress, there was no way she'd back out now. Over the next few days, everyone was stunned at how fast Baekjun was improving. Song trained him like a drill sergeant, pushing him non-stop. People were more shocked by her dedication than his effort. By evening, Baekjun was toast. Song finally called it, saying he needed to rest up for tomorrow. He thanked her, genuinely grateful, and asked her to stick around. He still had a long way to go with Heaven Surging and Qinggong. She raised a brow, thinking he was being dramatic, but then he nailed the Heaven Surging technique again, like it was no big deal. Just as things started winding down, boom, Kangho made a dramatic entrance, kicking the gate open like he was in an action movie. He stormed in, called out Baekjun's name, and looked like he was about to start a wrestling match. Baekjun calmly told Song to give them a moment. Song blinked, confused, but stepped aside. Then, smack! Kangho slapped him right across the face and grabbed his shirt. "Are you seriously going through with this?" he snapped. Baekjun blinked. With what? You didn't tell Dad you're backing out of the spar. Why would I? Kang-ho looked like he just swallowed a lemon. Because you can't win. It's embarrassing that I'm even matched with you. That's when Baekjun grabbed his wrist and smirked. What's this? Are you nervous? You're not chickening out, are you? Kang-ho tried to laugh it off, but the cracks were showing. Whatever, I'll see you tomorrow, he mumbled. Just remember, there's no rule that says I can't go all out. He turned to leave as his fan club hyped him up, whispering about how Baekjun might not last a minute. Baekjun dusted himself off and looked at Sung. Welp, time to get ready. Tomorrow was the day, and this time our boy was more than ready to throw hands. All the instructors gather as Young-yeon leans toward Yu-min, asking who requested the duel. When she hears it's our guy, her eyebrows shoot up. She assumes Kang-ho probably beat everyone else and Baekjun's just spectating. But nope, he's the one stepping in. When Baekjun arrives with Master Seong by his side, Young-yeon does a double take. What's she doing here? The old-school instructors backing Tae-rang all shift uncomfortably. But Young-yeon knows, if Baekjun gets Jae-yeon's favor, things might get real spicy. Baekjun's grateful for the barrier around the arena, not because it's magic, just because it blocks the breeze and helps with the pre-duel jitters. He notices Seong looking a little tense and asks if something's up. She reassures him, saying she's not worried about him losing. But Kang-ho? That guy hits like a truck, and win or not, Baekjun might still leave with a souvenir bruise or two. Our guy chuckles. She's sounding more and more like a worried gym coach. Then the big shots show up, and it's game time. Baekjun leans in and tells her not to stress too much. He jokes about the time Kang-ho got his arm nearly wrecked by a monster and barely made it through. Guess it's my turn to mess his day up, he grins. The announcement blares. Duel time. Baekjun breathes deep. Kang-ho looks like he just downed an energy drink, amped, confident, and ready to demolish. Our guy sees it in his stance. No mercy coming. As the match starts, Kang-ho wastes no time. He charges in with his signature heaven-surging sword technique, 5 dragon fangs. Classic Kang-ho. Fast, flashy, and out for blood. In his head, Kang-ho's already wondering how Baekjun plans to dodge this with zero martial arts background. But Baekjun's calm. He remembers how annoying this part was in the game. Barely anyone even played the Baekjun route, so there were no tips online. He used to rush in and fail spectacularly until he figured out the cheat code, skill combos. Kang-ho smirks until his skin suddenly stings. Those rocks are laced with ice shards. Kang-ho flinches, caught off guard. You little... But before he can finish the thought, Baekjun's fist plants itself on his face. Kang-ho stumbles, dazed, but Baekjun grabs his arm mid-fall. Nah, don't tap out yet, we're just getting started. Time for some long overdue payback. All the instructors are wide-eyed, completely thrown off by what they're watching. Our guy starts hammering at Kang-ho's weak spot, his right arm, and Kang-ho lets out a very un-warrior-like scream. He tries swinging back, but Baekjun sidesteps with slick footwork, though it costs him a lot of stamina. Smirking, he mocks Kang-ho. You talk big about killing people, but you can't even land a punch. Kang-ho snarls, shut up, but our guy keeps going. You know why Dad lets you act like a clown? It's not 'cause you're good, it's 'cause you're good at bullying. Baekjun doesn't fully get why Muhak even supports Kang-ho, and Kang-ho, thinking he's got this in the bag, pulls out his moon-slash strike, a flashy move. But Baekjun, he steps in bare-handed. Kang-ho thinks, this guy's nuts. But before he can enjoy the moment, Baekjun activates his hidden power and counters the strike like it's no big deal. Shock hits Kang-ho hard. With calm confidence, Baekjun says, this clan isn't about titles. It's about power. The strong eat, the weak get eaten. That's how it's always been. He unleashes his attribute manifestation, slams a punch straight into Kang-ho's gut, and sends him flying into the ground. Kang-ho's done. Seong watches, stunned. As the dust settles, Baekjun gets a sweet system pop-up. Quest cleared, household shame. Bonus, skill level-ups in the martial god's book, and full control over Kang-ho's mansion, money, and status. Perks of winning. Instructor Yeon blurts out that it's insane how Baekjun picked up enhanced energy with an attribute in just a week, without a real teacher. Daekwon mentions Seong helped a little, and Jongwon realizes no one even taught the basics. Jung-yeon is baffled. She thought Baekjun was talentless, and that Muhak's training was wasted. Now she's not so sure. Muhak steps in and tells Baekjun to head back to his room. He's lucky. His mana was almost drained. Seong watches, relieved he didn't end up limping out. As he walks off, Baekjun glances at Seong, wondering if she'd support him if he asked. If this was still just a game, he'd hit that recruit mentor button. But now, he decides to play it cool, one step at a time. Then a disciple comes up. The patriarch wants to see you. Baekjun figures it's time for the grandmaster picking ceremony. Kang-ho, meanwhile, is off getting patched up by Jong-woon. He just lost to a guy who's only trained for a week. Yikes. But Baekjun sees it clearly. His moment's here. He's playing the same game as before, just in real life. In Muhawk's room, all the instructors gather. Muhawk looks straight at him and asks, "Do you really want to learn martial arts?" Baekjun nods. Muhawk says only the strongest get taught by grandmasters. It's not a free-for-all. Then he hits him with the big question. Do you really have the talent? Baekjun fires back. Do you really think I don't? Everyone stiffens. Muhawk admits Baekjun has guts, but says not everyone can or will teach him. Since the top mentors are all tied up backing other successors, Baekjun realizes something important. His dad wants him to choose wisely. He thinks about Daekwon, Kunmo, Jongwon, all backing other heirs. If he picks wrong, he's toast. So there's only one path left. He looks up and confidently says, I choose Grandmaster Yeon. Yeon is hands down the most skilled of the 4 master combat instructors, and she's been part of the Muhawk clan forever. Unlike the others tangled up in the whole successor mess, Yeon puts all her focus into sharpening the clan's swordsmanship and helping trainees level up, and it pays off. Some of her students even go on to become combat instructors themselves. One of her standout protégés? None other than Seong. It's clear Yeon's influence runs deep in the clan's foundation. So when Muhawk turns to Yeon for her opinion on Baekjun, she pauses, thinking it over. His ability to adapt to different types of aura this quickly, she only ever showed Taerang the basics, and even that was a rare exception. But something about Baekjun piques her interest. She walks over to him, places her hand on his shoulder, and channels her mana to check for talent. And what she senses leaves her stunned. His aura is flawless. The other instructors are floored. Yeon calling someone perfect? That's not something you hear every day. She means it too. Baekjun's body and potential are practically textbook. Muhawk, a bit surprised himself, asks what she plans to do. Yeon has always kept her distance from potential successors to avoid drama. Baekjun's respected that. But today, she breaks her own rule. She picks Baekjun as her disciple. Muhawk gives her the go-ahead and tells everyone to clear the room, except for Yeon. Just as they start to leave, Baekjun raises a hand. He's got one more thing to ask. He wants permission to use the clan's funds. Dead silence. The instructors exchange looks. It's not a small request. For context, Taerang, Youngyeon, Kangho, and Yumin have all been spending freely from the clan's budget. Baekjun, meanwhile, has been living like a broke martial arts monk, just enough for food and bandages. If Muhawk gives him full access to the funds, it basically means he's being acknowledged as part of the inner circle. Muhawk thinks it over and then gives the nod. Not just a little, but all of Kangho's money. Some of the aides in the room practically do a double take. One of them cautiously points out that this might be a bit harsh. Muhawk shuts that down with a look. Then, in a calm voice, he asks if Kangho's been skipping training. She admits that he has talent, which is why she let it slide. Muhawk follows up with one simple question. Who won today's match? The answer's obvious. He reminds her that this is the Sword Saint clan. If someone can't keep up, they don't belong at the top. If she gets the point, she's free to go. Later that evening, Yeon and Muhawk have a quiet chat. Yeon admits she's unsure about Kangho. She's trained a lot of skilled people, but Baekjun? He's something else. She even suspects he might reach the level of the clan master someday. Muhawk raises an eyebrow. He's watched Kangho for years and never saw anything that promising. Yeon agrees. But she mentions something odd. Kangho collapsed for a few days after a recent monster attack. It could be nothing, or something happened during that time. Muhawk's intrigued. Maybe Kangho isn't out of the picture yet. There's always more than one contender in a succession battle. Meanwhile, Baekjun's back to training. No time to rest. He only had a couple of days to recover before Yeon threw him back into the deep end. He's now eyeing the martial gods book again, which just leveled up to rank 2. This is big. Rank 1 was all about basic techniques, but now he can unlock personal traits, skills like poison immunity, mana regeneration boosts, and unique event triggers tied to his build. It's like the game all over again, but this time it's real. And with just about a month and a half before Taerang returns, Baekjun knows the clock is ticking. It's time to power up. The next stage begins now. Before he makes his big debut, our guy wants to get a little insider info from Seung-min. He asks Seung-min to check out what cool items will be up for grabs at the auction happening next week at Somnium Bar. You see, in the game Heroes Road, the story and setting change every time you play, so it's always an adventure. Even on the same route, enemy bases can shift around, so every player's move can really shake things up. Basically, it's up to Seung-min to handle this on his own. He's got a lot going on, like learning new skills from Yeon and keeping an eye on his finances. As he takes in all the gold and fancy items, our boy thinks it's exactly what he expected from Kang-ho. Just then, someone strolls up to him and hands him a credit card. Not just any card, a sleek black one, the kind that only the top 0.1% of people have. He had asked Seung-min for one of these, but if she's the one handing it over, things just got serious. She tells him she's officially his master starting today. Having an official master means she'll be teaching him one-on-one. The title is more like a cool badge of honor. Seung is one of the most talented masters around, and she's definitely someone our boy is lucky to have on his team. Plus, she's willingly stepped up to this role, which is a huge win for him. As he digs into his studies, he starts to think about the importance of long-term training. He realizes he should definitely put in some effort too. He stumbles upon a trait called Energizer, which helps the body recover quickly and not get tired easily. It's a C-rank trait and a bit pricier than learning a skill, but since our boy lost the boost from the 1,000-year snow ginseng, he really needs this. That ginseng was his secret weapon for non-stop training, but deep down, he knows he can't rely on miracle cures forever. After that, his thoughts shift to the skills he wants to learn. In Heroes Road, there are two main ways to pick up skills, through training or reading a skill book. Skill books give an instant skill, but they're pretty rare, especially the good ones that our boy needs. Most people just stick with training because skill books feel more like a lucky find. He can't use a skill book right now, since he has the Martial Gods book. Plus, getting trained as the successor of the Sword Saint clan is a fantastic advantage. Just then, Yeon spots him and calls him to come inside. Once they settle in, she playfully mentions that she's not entirely sure if our boy is into tea, but he seems to be okay with it. Then she asks if he'd like to learn martial arts from her and what he's excited to start with. After thinking for a moment, our boy shares the first technique he wants to master. Yeon looks a bit surprised by his choice because most people usually kick off with sword techniques, which are a staple of the Sword Saint clan, where all the trainees and direct descendants typically start. She reassures him that the technique is strong on its own, but will get even better with practice. Curious, she asks if he knows this is the Sword Saint clan. He nods confidently, saying he's aware, but isn't giving up on learning sword techniques. He just feels drawn to the fist technique as a starting point. He's eager to learn all kinds of martial arts. Just like the legendary martial god, his determination to pick up everything that will help him grow stronger really shines through. He even mentions that he heard Yeon has explored the martial arts used by the martial god, thinking that would be super helpful. When Yeon hears this, she's intrigued and questions if he's truly sure about that being his choice. That's part of the reason he came to her. Yeon excitedly shares that she knows a fantastic fist technique she discovered while exploring the world and digging through all sorts of records. The only catch is that she only found part of it. She suggests that if he really wants to level up, he should learn the heaven-surging sword technique along with the 9 dragon fangs. But he quickly interrupts her, insisting he doesn't want to change his mind and really wants her to teach him the first technique instead. Yeon is taken aback but realizes he's serious about this. With a smile, she agrees to teach him if it's truly what he wants. They head outside to the training ground, where lots of other kids are practicing. Our boy can't help but admire her because there are so many talented kids around. Yeon tells him she'll teach him 2 moves. The first one might seem simple, but she warns him that it's still missing some important pieces. She places her hand on a wooden piece and summons some training dummies. The other disciples look on in shock, curious if she's really going to show them something impressive, and they're pleasantly surprised to see Baekjun with her too. Our boy gets a fun new quest. He needs to prove to the clan that he's got talent, since they're still a bit uncertain about him. He thinks it'll be a piece of cake. Then Yeon informs him that she'll show him the first move, called Heaven Breaker. And hey, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Zucker Manhwa for more epic recaps coming your way.